Hello Pokemon trainers and welcome back to the Pokemon UNITE Asia Champions League. My name is Danalee and of course joining me is the wonderful Contra. Contra, we are here for Southeast Asia. It's the first day of elimination matches for this region. I know we're both excited. I mean, what do you think is going to happen today?
Well, there's definitely going to be a lot of big epic matchups coming in the way, and I'm hoping to be surprised by the teams because yesterday in East Asia, we've seen the Secret Ship sailing their way into a top 3 position, and they might even get into ACL Grand Finals later on. But we'll definitely have to check out what happens next week. For more information of everything that has to do with Pokemon UNITE Asia Champions League, you head over to this website on your screen right now to see, who's coming on top, who's already eliminated, and many, many more.
Exactly. So this is going to be your Bible for the tournament. Keep it bookmarked, keep it close. If you're ever wondering what's going to be the matchup, when your favorite teams are playing, that's the link to go to. It's going to have everything that you need to know for the tournament. Now, speaking of the tournament, I do want to remind you all that we still have our Twitch campaign that is currently running. If you haven't known about this at all, welcome. This is a campaign you do not want to miss, and it's only exclusively going to be held on Twitch. Now, to enter, all you have to do is to own a Twitch account and to register on the stream elements for the official stream. Once you've registered, you're going to start collecting points just by watching the broadcast, and this includes the East Asia, Southeast Asia, and India broadcasts. Once you do have enough points, you're going to be able to redeem one of the physical rewards that you're currently seeing on the screen right now. This includes the file folders, Pikachu keychains. We have these acrylic keychains from other Pokemon as well. We have booster packs, and then we have the booster pack tins. So there's a lot of stuff to redeem, and I know a lot of people have been saving up points up until this point. So if you haven't started, I dare say, think you still have a chance at getting some of the cheaper rewards. Now, Contra, it's going to be time for us to quickly show the rewards. We're going to open up the screen in just a second, but show off the file folders. These are great. I have been advocating for these because I feel like people underestimate how amazing these are. So some people just say like, oh, they're just file folders. Look at it carefully. Cinderace? Nicer Cinderace. Cinderace? Hello. So these are great. Unfortunately,
this is my favorite.
It's fine. There's nothing inside, but it lets you put in papers, documents, whatever you want. This is not a poster. This is a file folder. And even the back, you got Pokemon UNITE. It looks great.
And for myself, I'm eyeing on this booster pack as well, where you have the 3 Galarian birds, Articuno, Zapdos, as well as Moltres. And not only that, you got the Surfetch coin as well. So you don't know what you're going to get from these packs. So hopefully, if you guys were to claim it, I hope that there's going to be some really rare cards that's up for grabs. And then not forgetting
the tins. Hang on, I'm going to move over here. So these are the booster pack tins. There are 3 types. We've got the fire type tin, the is it fighting type tin? I think it's fighting. And then we have the dark type tin. Now, not only do you get the tin, there are 3 booster packs within each of these tins. And we also have a coin. I don't know if it's Surfetched as well. It just says 1 Pokemon coin, so it might not be like as not as cool as this one. I don't know if we can even zoom in on the surface.
Who knows?
Coin.
I mean, it's a mystery surprise.
Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Look at that coin. If
so
you want
shiny.
the coin, I would probably aim for one of these. These are great. But the tins, I mean, if you want to put stuff in it, you can as well. It just depends on whether or not you are one of those TCG collectors or not. I know a lot of people love collecting those cards.
And myself too. And of course, with that being said, let's get on with the program as well, where not only are we having the Asia Champions League, your favorite streamers are currently online joining us on board, as you can basically hang out with Master Ramen, Skywee, as well as Sungin.
Yeah, so if you think maybe Contra and I are a little bit too boring, you want to maybe watch it with some cool personalities, do check out these guys' streams. They are going to be streaming this alongside us. I mean, they'll be providing their own commentary as well. So get to know them. They're some really friendly people. We have personally met some of the streamers that are currently co-broadcasting this with us, and they're just really, really great people to hang out with.
Exactly, and like Skywee probably has a lot of fun stuff going on his watch party, so you probably want to open a couple of tabs and then maybe catch everything at one go if you're on your desktop or so. But, you can always stay put here, and we do have a lot to elaborate because now going back to Southeast Asia, these are the 5 teams that has been able to compete for the past couple of weeks, and we've seen teams like MYS as well as Renaissance to be able to put up quite a show. But today, of course, we start off with our Philippines Open second place finisher Secret Rare to take on the Thai's best team.
Escape 5.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is going to be a really exciting matchup today, folks, so make sure you don't miss out. Watch the entire broadcast. Now, as Contra said, we are going to be starting off with our 4th and 5th seed teams, Escape 5 and Secret Rare. And then going into the next round, the winner of the first matchup will then play against the 3rd seed team, which is the Indonesian champions, Rise. Now, all 3 of these teams, they are rather competitive. They do have their own little niches, but in particular, Contra, for this first matchup, now, Escape 5 and Secret Rare have played up against each other, but, and there's a very big but here, the last time these two teams met was before the latest patch update. So they were playing the old patch. Now, I'm curious to know what kind of changes this new patch means for these two teams. Before we do jump into the tournament itself, we do want to give our newer viewers a quick refresher on how the tournament format works. The first stage has already concluded, and we are now in the second stage where the teams are playing elimination matches. Only one team from the second phase will be joining the other representative of their region in the finals. So, unfortunately, only one team is going to come out alive from this gauntlet run, Contra.
Exactly, and this is where they really have to put everything on board, whatever they've prepared throughout the weeks of a break or even days, I would say. They really have to show everything that they have in order to make it through. And speaking of which, of course, let's take a look quickly into the results back in the league where MYS has bested Renaissance in the very final game to claim the top spot to be undefeated in their entirety of their best of threes. But despite that, they did have most games going on a full 3-game series, whereas Renaissance were just overwhelmed. They had that winning streak going on, and on the final game, they dropped the ball, and now they really have to contend against either Rise, Escape 5, or even Secret Rare to get there instead.
Yeah, well, at the end of today, we will find out who is going to be playing up against Renaissance, right? That's essentially the objective for today's matchup. Now, speaking of matchups, here is the official playoff bracket for the final elimination matches. So as you can see, we're going to see Rise going up against Secret Rare, and then the winner of that series will play up against Rise, and then the winner of that series will play Renaissance next week, and the winner of that series will have to play MYS, but if you beat Renaissance, or if Renaissance beats you, whoever wins is going to be going with MYS to the offline finals in Malaysia. So the most important thing, it's that day 7 first game of the day where we finally determine our 2 teams to represent Southeast Asia. And this is also inclusive of India and East Asia, the exact same format. Now, what are you playing for in particular? This is what you're playing for, Contra. Exactly. So today we're going to find out the team that will at least guarantee themselves $1,000, right? The winner of the second series will be promised that 3rd place, which means $1,000 to take home. But if they win next week, they could be taking home $2,500. They could be taking home $5,000.
$5,000 up for grabs. And then first, with the qualifications into the Asia Champions League, they could even be hoping to secure up to $30,000 US. Really a great amount, especially when you're playing in Southeast Asia, where convert back to your local currencies. Like, you gotta enjoy a little bit of something for great effort throughout the entirety of their
It's not a little bit of something here, okay? It's a lot of something.
A lot of something.
Exactly. So here's the tournament rules, just in case anyone is tuning into the middle of the tournament and you're not quite aware of how things work. We play standard games of Pokemon UNITE, which is a 10-minute round. We'll be playing best of 3s for the elimination matches on Thea Sky Ruins. We will be playing with the draft mode, so picks and bans have been enabled. There are no item limits, no support medal limits, and every Pokemon that is in the game currently is allowed to be played, and that's inclusive of Comfey, the newest Pokemon to join our roster.
Exactly, and not only that, we've been missing on some Sableye, and good news is that, the whatever bug that was affecting the Pokemon specifically is now being resorted. So the question is, will any of these teams start to pick up, the brand new Comfey, or maybe lean back onto the Diamond-Eyed Sableye?
Maybe. Now, before we do jump into today's games, folks, we're gonna show you a quick highlight for some of the previous week's matches. Enjoy.
そうで3匹落ち抜いていく当選棒で固まっているところに再びミュウのソーラービームヘビーボンバーを合わせてすごいいい形が作れているぞそんな中でも視力を尽くしてレッグザへと向かってくるエタニティどうだ
バンギャスを弾きたい
かなり体力残っている3枚落ちてるこれもう取られてもいいカービィがヘビーボンバー
스라크랑 야도라는 이거 겁먹어가지고
아직
못
괜찮아요.
오고 있어요.
자 포크라이브 계속 딜을 넣는데요
지금 스라크랑 야도라 섀도우 복싱하고 있습니다.
시간 다 들어갑니다 득점 못하고 있어요
못 넣고 있어요. 이거 미션 못 넣으면 게임 끝나요.
버텨야 돼요 3초
막아놓고
2초
있고.
1초 NQ 자 막았어요 일단은 막았습니다
결과는
한일전 최종 셋 과연
이게 점수 차이가
우와
노쇼
6점 차입니다
terjadi dibuka Rayquaza di dalam sana harus tumbang satu Rayquaza siapa yang berhasil mendapatkan ternyata Talon Flame oh my god bahaya sekali Talon Flame berhasil mencetak beberapa poin lagi di atas tampaknya Chua wow tidak berhasil dipukul-pukul lagi oleh Macho
knockout di situ
Macho
big knockout di sini HQ juga terus menjaga Dan
Rayquaza, they're going to try and zone him out here with Yang actually getting pulled in by that slow bro. So it looks like Dev is going to be going down, but Rayquaza isn't out yet. Urshifu is back into the picture. Solo wants to actually get in there to potentially get the steal off. But look at this though. MYS is saying, you can't do that. You're going to have to force an eject button out of there. He's trying to charge up, but I don't think he's going to be successful so far. Rayquaza is still healthy. Nightmare though coming in to clean him up. That's going to be him out of the picture again. Blissey trying to run around. They're doing so much to delay. Yeah, they're just delaying this Rayquaza taken now. So they're confident they will finally get it there.
Oh well, definitely, and look at that, 20 points added. Oh, they pick up the link. Oh no, smooth music, but oh, the 100 points would be added. The last of the seconds, and look at that, it's going so close. Well, back into the battle. More and more players need to be back to the base. No, the Pokemons get to need knocked out. Okay, here comes the very 100 score. Now they're at the lead. Need to maintain that. No other Pokemon to score any of those points. Mr. Mime, you can do it. Zishol, you can do it. Daksh is just standing. He knows he needs to do nothing to actually able to secure. Oh, 5.
Defense buff on the line as well. Renaissance trying to do their best, but look at this though. Nightmare Foxy just coming in from the sidelines. Almost he does get a KO there. Dark Urshifu, no chance at all. He's just going right onto the goal zone. Does quite a lot of damage, and this does give a big opening for his team to just swipe up the Regirock, and they're just going to keep on going. Nightmare Foxy just playing this game like an Olympic gymnast.
He's just basically running around the rows. He's
Oh
still
my
finding
gosh.
one more in the back. 4 KO streak. Is it going to be 5?
Oh my goodness. Now that we're all up to date, of course, we are going to be getting ready to jump into our first matchup of the day and our first elimination match, Contra. Let's take a look at the heads-ahead of our two contenders for this best of 3. Who are they, Contra?
Well, on Secret Rare side, we have Shua, Miva, Dan, Heart1, as well as Junior Absent, and Escape 5 will consist of Mudo, Mukro, Winnie, PPS, as well as Jazz, and Black Blight. And there are so many things that we can talk about for both sides of the team. And I'm going to be starting off with Escape 5 because they have been looking relatively strong, and when it comes down to team fights, they've been looking absolutely clean. But let's start off with a little bit of trivia as we zoom in on Spoo, where he loves Caterpie but he doesn't really like caterpillars in real life. I can relate, and if you like Caterpie, then we can be friends. Hey, I guess I made a new friend.
Oh, oh my gosh, what an interesting fellow, Spoo. What an adorable man. But let's take a look at Secret Rare. Who are we going to be meeting on stream for today? We're going to be looking at Heart1. He likes programming and automation. Whoa. Okay, and he's good at playing chess. Now, I think for MOBA players, being able to play chess and have that mindset to be able to process the game in general, it's really helpful. Because when you play Unite, not only do you need to be aware of what's happening in the moment, but you also have to make those moves ahead of time. Can you predict what your opponent's going to do? How's your position going to influence the upcoming team fight?
Exactly, and I just love this mindset coming from Hart, where he will be basically not only the backbone of the team, but also the mastermind of planning all these odds heading into some of these matchups. So hopefully we will see no error style of gameplay coming from Secret Rare for today.
Yeah, let's take a look at the head-to-head games for these two teams. So unfortunately for Secret Rare, this is our 5th seed team, which means they scored the lowest number of points during phase number 1 of the competition, and they weren't able to secure any wins. So unfortunate for the team. I am still curious to see, can they make this comeback today? Because we have seen miracles happen yesterday in East Asia, where the 5th seed, Secret Ship, beat the 4th and 3rd seed teams. Maybe we could see the exact same thing coming in for Secret Rare, because you know what these two teams have in common? They're both secrets.
Yeah, and I wonder this time around what exactly is the secret sauce for Secret Rare, because I don't know how they really want to cook up a storm, but hopefully in the style of medium rare.
Let's take a look at Escape 5 now, Contra. So Escape 5 is our 4th seed team coming into the 2nd phase of the competition, and the only game that they did win was against Secret Rare. So I think this is going to be a very important moment within the storyline between these two teams. It was a 2-0 victory in favor of Escape 5, but here's the but, Contra. The last time that these two teams went against each other was during the old patch.
Yeah.
We haven't seen these teams, or at least Secret Rare has played on the new patch, but having these two teams playing against each other in the new patch, how is this going to influence them? Because another thing to note as well, Contra, Escape 5 hasn't played on the new patch competitively, because their last week was, as you can see on the screen, day 4. They concluded all their games on that day. They couldn't play on day 5, which was the only day for Southeast Asia where we saw the teams actually playing with the new patch. So for us, we also need to think, like, how are they going to digest it? Did this nerf the team? Did it buff the team? We actually don't know.
Yeah, and with 3 weeks plus of preparation time, I think that there's a lot that they could also consider moving into the current meta. And speaking of meta, I think, like, throughout the course of the competition, we've seen a whole lot of Pokemon being played, but Urshifu have remained to be dominant throughout the course of the ACL, not only in Southeast Asia, but also for the rest of the region. So we see 100% pick or ban rate, and that is all the games that
Every
is
game.
involved.
Literally, its picture appeared in every game if you think about it, whether it be picked or banned. And I mean, we're still seeing it picked quite a lot as well. In the latest patch, we did see a nerf to Dark Urshifu, but a buff to Water Urshifu, and we did kind of see what Water Urshifu can do. I think people are still going to be on the fence with it. I do think it is rather strong. But let's take a look at the win rate for the Pokemon now. Just remember, folks, these stats were taken from the previous week. It's all the games collectively, old patch and new patch up until last week. We did not include data from East Asia, which happened yesterday. So this is not a fully updated graphic sheet, but it does give us a really good picture on where these Pokemon are in terms of the tournament overall. And Clefable and Hooper, 2 Pokemon that got buffed with the latest patch, look at where they are, 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, it's really great to also see more Hoopa being played in the most recent patch after that buff that he had. And when you consider Wigglytuff looking really strong, because, well, if you calculate win ratios in general, usually want to put on an average, right? When you have, say, out of 50 games, how many wins do they actually get? But for now, it may look to be inflated because it's 80% over on this win ratio, but it's only 6 games, and it's such a niche pick, which is why, like, we wonder, are we gonna ever see Wigglytuff come into Southeast Asia battles? And for Dodrio, it's more of a situational basis, especially now with Hoopa being relevant again.
Yes.
So we might actually see less of those Dodrios, and this may actually affect quite a number of teams that are currently playing in the Southeast Asia circuit of the Asian Champions League.
Yeah, actually speaking of Dodrio, I think I'm so glad you brought this up. So the two teams that are going to be playing, Secret Rare and Escape 5, both of these teams kind of play Dodrio. And weirdly enough, we did see the fall of Dodrio, as you said, right? With the latest patch, Hooper is a really great Pokemon when it comes to dealing with the Dodrio because you have access to the, if assuming you skill the hyperspace hole, you've got easy, not completely easy, I suppose, but it's a solution to deal with that constant back capping Dodrio. And then of course you've got the Rings Unbound. If you really have to, you pop the Unite, and then you've got a way to bring the entire team in.
That's right.
So we'll have to see what happens if Dodrio even makes an appearance, because I think it goes to show, if you've seen Escape 5 play, they have a amazing Dodrio player, and I'm looking at Mukrob over there.
Exactly, and I wonder if this is going to be the game where he'll be unveiling the Dodrio once more. Secret Rare will start off with the first pick, so we'll see a little bit more priority given onto the Delphox as well as Urshifu with the bans, and then Secret Rare opts to hover upon the Mamoswine first and then goes in to lock the Mew. Really good choice, but we saw those win rates for most of the regions, and once again, we're seeing Clefable to be paired with the Slowbro.
Yeah, so very sustainable duo. I mean, this is a very common combination to go for nowadays, right? You're guaranteeing that you're going to have a front line that can self-sustain, and then that means Clefable can focus on protecting the back line, and of course, if you need it, Gravity. Gravity is such a finicky ability to go up against because it denies you mobility on a lot of those really good backline divers. And some Pokemon, once you see Clefable, you're just like, I actually cannot play this Pokemon anymore because of Gravity. So it means that Secret Rare are going to have to adjust their playstyles. If they were looking for a diver, it's going to be quite difficult for them, especially with Clefable on the field. So maybe instead they decide, let's just go big and tanky. We're going to run right into you instead. And Aegislash, okay. Oh, really? Trevenant?
Oh,
Heart?
this is going to be a pretty strong, sustained combination coming in from Secret Rare. They go for it, but they go back into the Aegislash to have a little bit more of that ample damage. And then Escape 5 unleashes the Tyranitar on the very final pick. So I wonder if this Aegislash can actually find that window to deal with that Tyranitar running Rampage across these team fights. So Escape 5, very straightforward. They're looking for a direct challenge on a team fight, whereas Secret Rare, you gotta go in for some openings where you want to find where exactly the Cramorant is, as well as the Cider. Once you get that punishing window, they can start to open up this team fight a little bit broader. So I love what I'm seeing from both sides. I can't wait to get to Taya Sky Ruins.
Yeah, I mean, it makes we have to mention the Cramorant pick as well.
Yeah.
So I think for the past couple of weeks, Cramorant was a little broken. I do believe it was fixed recently, so we're going to be seeing hopefully normal Cramorant, unless there's some other shenanigans that we're not aware of. But I am glad to see this little tiny bird come back into the picture, because I feel Cram, especially with the Unite, it's going to pose some issues for Secret Rare when it comes to those objectives. The Gatling Gulp Missile is such a good zoning tool, and even if you aren't going to use it just for zoning, just popping it means that you can't just simply dive on the Cram.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what Spoo wants to do. Is it just going to be the dive air cutter Cram, or is it going to be surf on this Cram? I mean, it could even be Hurricane. We kind of don't know what they want to do. Like, what do they value?
And for now, they have applied a lot of pressure onto this Cramorant school, already taking some damage. Would they eventually need to pull back into a safer area to get some more EXP from the wild Pokemon. Dan has always played this high-pressing playstyle on the Snorlax, and it's really great to see that, you know, with this combo, having Miva to also offer huge damage in return, this is just going to be absolutely stable. And now Mukrup joins into the picture, and he's trying to deal with Hard 1, but the rest of Secret Rare, they retaliate. They will push them all off, and it will be the first two knockouts in favor of Secret Rare.
Yeah, so Pipitar actually being the one to assist with that knockout there. Both teams being very aggressive up here, and it's totally understandable, right? Escape 5, you're trying to get this Tyranitar up as quick as possible, and Secret Rare, because you have Glaceon, this is probably one of the best Pokemon for that early game pressure. So you really want to apply it whilst you're still able to, because one thing you're going to have to be worried about, especially for sure, is that once Tyranitar fully evolves, you know that this Pokemon is going to start gunning for you. And the same thing for Scyther. This Glaceon is going to be a prime target alongside that Mew. And one of the easiest, or at least the best ways to guarantee your late game is to slow them down. Make them become relevant as late as possible.
Exactly. And as for Escape 5, like, you're just hoping to see power leveling going over onto the Cypher, and then you will start to find windows of opportunity to strike, which is why, like, you see the Snorlax really guarding onto this move so heavily, and there's just gonna be so little window for them to actually strike. Oh, Surf comes in, and Dan's gonna be the front line of defense for the rest of Secret Rare.
Beautiful.
And they will still find the knockout on the Pupitar.
Yep, that was a beautiful icy win there from Shua. So that's what you really need to do. Every time you see that Pupitar, you have to just go onto him. Make sure he's not farming those wild Pokemon. Make sure he's not getting that experience. We are seeing the Hyperspace Hole. That's going to help reset the Mew. Neva's going to come back into this battle. And this is the power that we're starting to see from Mew. Not Mew. Hooper, right? It's been a long time since Hooper has been a, I suppose, relevant Pokemon in the meta because it had very long cooldowns back in the day. Now with the cooldown reductions, we get to see more Hyperspace Holes, more resets, meaning more aggressive plays that are running the Hooper on their compositions. Now Dan is getting a little bit weak, but you know him, just going to sleep on the portal. He's like, I'm going to go back home, guys. I'll have a nap. I'll come back. It's all good.
Yeah, it's like you get like a superpower nap, right? Like you get full recharge in the split second, and now Secret Rare just dominates this whole area of the southern side of the map, where they will secure themselves a Ridge Seal, while Budak finds that opening window, scores a couple of points, and that's where some exchange goes on. But this Pupitar is being left unguarded and have finally transformed to a Tyranitar.
Oh, ouch.
While Secret Rare, they just kept pushing on, and they will eventually drop the bottom a goal zone into only 3 more points to go.
Yeah, I think this is really the best thing you could really do as Escape 5. You know that you're only going to be playing 4 of your 5 Pokemon, so just leave your Pupitar to keep farming, and then of course Scyther up top takes your Alecki. You're also denying this from Secret Rare, but also you are ensuring that you're not accidentally getting KO. He could have tried to battle in that bottom lane, but with the numbers advantage on Secret Rare, there was a high probability that someone would have just jumped on top of him and insta-KO, you've lost your central laner.
Yeah.
So I think that what Escape 5 are doing right now, totally fine. I would not be too worried because they definitely have a very experience-heavy lineup, especially with this Tyranitar pick.
Yeah, and you see Escape 5, they don't really full commit themselves into battle, and they still have a few more members to actually go for some points. And now the battle begins in the central area zone, where Shua is being chased upon, and Spoo, the first one to be knocked out, and Hard just singling out some targets, but Mukab is already blocking the passage, where this Aegis Slash has got nowhere to run,
no.
but still will try to manage to survive, and Mukab will still bring him down and will still pay the price as well. 1 for 1.
1 for 1. I mean, that was not the best battle there for Escape 5. It was great that they were able to knock out the Aegis Slash, but just to lose your Scyther, that really hurts. It could have just been you grab that experience and get out of there, but Escape 5 wanting to put on the pressure now that they do have a full 5 comp that's ready to battle. I mean, this is just them trying to get their foot back into this game, which I'm not saying that they lost this from the beginning. Look at the experience between the two teams. They are actually keeping up, and especially for Secret Rare, who has been putting their foot down on the pedal to try and get this game to speed up. They were kind of hoping to have a much better advantage, more experience, more levels, more map control, which is why we're seeing Shua looking to break this top goal zone, because you want to remove as much map control. And look at this though, we're actually seeing a big battle erupt in that bottom lane, and so far it looks like Secret Rare, they're starting to lose a lot of health. It's 1 for 1. 3 Pokemon go down on Escape 5, and now there's going to be Escape 5 that's going to be on the run here. 4th to go down, Clefable likely going to be the next Pokemon. I mean, Secret Rare, even though the levels are equalized, they had a great team fight there.
Yeah, and the power of Hoopa is absolutely showing as well when for Rings and Bound and Junior Absent, just supplementing the team throughout. And then you have Shua with great setups with the heavy slam to be able to hit onto multiple targets. We expected the Tyranitar to at least dish out a lot more damage, but he just got focused down so early on, so there wasn't really much of a window of opportunity for Escape 5 to even get near to the Registeel.
Yeah, it was a bit of an awkward fight as well, because I think we also saw Cram. He was just in the middle of the fray. I mean, Gatling Gulp is going to give you a little bit of a boost, but you're still a squishy cram.
Yeah.
And we saw how quickly he actually got eliminated. But I wasn't I'm not a big fan of the positioning in that battle, and if they lose Tyranitar here, this is actually pretty big there.
Shua.
Beautiful icy win. Shua, this man is just cutting this team down. This Glaceon, okay, so here's the thing. Level 13 Glaceon. Damage, man.
The damage output is just
glass
immense.
cannon. He is a glass cannon.
And just looking back, like, he just got to back away where every other member of Secret Rare is just storming the gates. And this is not going to be all too worth it for them to overcommit. Secret Rare pulls back the moment that they did see the Tyranitar coming on board. And now the chase is on. Escape 5 looking to be on the hunt, but they are turning this back against them as well. The damage output's so high, but Winnie couldn't really give up the chase, and they will once again lose another member out of the Escape 5. Mookrop overcommits, and they are still seeking him out, and Junior Absent will eventually find him in return. Escape 5, things are not working well for them.
Oh, that was not a pretty fight at all for Escape 5. They wanted to try and brute force their way into Secret Rare, but as soon as we saw that big fat solar beam just cutting away at 3 Pokemon's health until half, you immediately want to just start reversing, you know, it's like full on as fast as you can, get out of that fight. But they knew that if they tried to run away, Secret Rare are so good at chasing. So they did try to fully commit. We also saw the Scyther trying to edge around the outskirts of the fight to get into the backlines and jump onto the Glaceon. But I mean, even after trying to just go around, there's no clear opening to catch out that evolution. And we even see the Unite move there from the Cram, even going forward with the eject button. They do get a KO. And it's actually when Rayquaza spawns with a 30-second knockout timer of Glaceon.
And this is going to be very impactful for Escape 5. They're going to rush this throughout. Backlight will be the first target. It will be knocked out immediately. Rings unbound upon him. And Junior Absent will be the next target. Mookrop goes in for the turns. They still cannot bring down the Iggy Slash though. And eventually, the rest of Secret Rare will stand tall and secure the Rayquaza.
Oh my goodness, that was a terrible fight. They lost the Clefable so early, so they had no sustain left. This is one of the issues when you lose your supports in those fights. And this was supposed to be Escape 5's battle to win. There was no Glaceon on the field. It was a 4v5, and they still just weren't able to get on top of those Pokemon that they needed to on the side of Secret Rare. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that they used a lot of their Unite moves in that bottom lane, meaning they didn't have it for that central area fight.
Yeah.
So Hooper, this Pokemon is just insane, right? The resets is just too strong.
And you just got to look at Heart 1, right? Like, they understand this whole composition all too well. So long as they keep pressing on, they will be able to find something, and they have all the mobility to pull back. The problem with Escape 5's composition is that they have great frontliners, but they don't really have the mobility to even go for a chase, which is why certain team fights, they shouldn't be the ones to initiate.
Yep. So Escape 5, they need 300 points to comfortably get on top of this game, and they have to win this upcoming battle. We're seeing a Gatling Gold on the corner of this fight. We see Junior Absent has popped the Unite move, is here to make sure his team can get on top of the fight, and so far with the goal zone advantage, the shielding, their level advantage, it's just too much, and they've managed to finally overwhelm Escape 5 with 10 seconds on the clock. They can breathe a sigh of relief, and they have taken the first game at this best of 3 series. Escape 5 have got to be shaking.
That's right, Secret Rare comes in with the first win of the series, and the Philippines will eventually show up strong here in the gauntlet rounds, and one more win away from moving into the next series to meet up against Team Rise of the third seed of Indonesia. But let's talk about this matchup, because this is clearly a revamp type of execution that we're seeing out of Secret Rare.
Yeah, so I liked Secret Rare's composition, right? They had a good mix of ranged damage as well as frontliners, just to make sure, excuse me, that both Shua and Miva were rather well protected, especially up against Mookrop on that side. That Mookrop's job was to get into the backlines to assassinate those squishy attackers, but he just couldn't find a good angle to get on top of them, because there was Dan, there was Heart 1, and then you had Junior Absent, where if the KO wasn't immediately there, there was a hyperspace hole that could just send them back home, reset, they'll come back in at full, and normally that's when Mookrob's supposed to get out of there. So he just didn't have enough of a lead to really be able to get those assassinations off. And even with the Tyranitar, right, this is one of the biggest late game monsters in the game. Winnie just didn't feel Tyranitar enough. I don't know what to describe it. He just wasn't threatening enough, right? Like his presence, Secret Rare was like, it's fine, we can just kite him.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened.
Exactly, and then Secret Rare just have this grand idea where you're also playing this poking strategy where you have immense power in the form of damage to keep contributing with both Shaw as well Miva doing the majority of the lot, and then you also you have the cleanup crew with Heart One just hacking onto their health bars, and then voila, you just get to dance around not only the Tyranitar but every other member. So whatever the pressure was coming from the Sizz, Scyther, or even Cramorant, it was almost close to irrelevant.
Yeah, this game definitely showed what Scyther looks like when the Pokemon is underwhelming. When it can't do what it's supposed to do, which is get those very quick knockouts, dive in, dive out. So I'm wondering, especially after this game, for Mookrop, what's going to be the play going into the next game? Because we know for a fact that, especially in the Escape 5 games that we saw, not just against Secret Rare, but in all their matches, Mookrop is, I have to say, the heart and soul of the team, right? Whenever he's playing the Dodrio, he's single-handedly winning the games for his team because he's constantly backcapping. He's constantly going into the back lines and getting those pickoffs on those squishier attackers. So is it time to go back to the Dodrio, or is there another Pokemon that he can go back to? Because I don't know if Scyther is going to be an ideal choice.
Yeah, and overall, I just love the performance of Junior Absent on this Hoopa, and if there's anything to ban from Escape 5,
it's definitely
they really
Hoopa.
have to be a Hoopa, because not only because you want to get your hands on that Dodrio, you can still go for other options, and you deny so much of these quick resets that could really alter the course of the battle, where Escape 5, they saw that opening when they were challenging members of Secret Rare after knocking out that Glaceon, and I felt like in terms of positioning as well, it wasn't really the best possible outcome for Escape 5 to even recommit into a battle if they really want to, where you need enough damage onto the Rayquaza, and you still have to pay attention to the rest of Secret Rare.
Yeah. I guess like another thing I do want to talk about was the Tyranitar pick. I don't think I had any issues with Tyranitar, except for one thing, and I don't think we really mentioned it during the game, and it was the fact that he went for, I think it's Sand Tomb instead of Ancient Power. So for anyone that doesn't play Tyranitar, these two moves, they are on the same skill hotkey. Ancient Power is the one where he literally will just charge at you, he's unstoppable, he's got extra movement speed, it's the move he uses to get on top of his targets. He went for Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb is a short dash where you dash forward and you'll create like a giant sand tomb, I guess. It just looks like quicksand. It slows, it does damage, but it's on a pretty big cooldown. And without the unstoppable, it kind of limits the mobility of the Tyranitar. So it makes me wonder, like, was the choice of Sand Tomb maybe something that held Winnie's back as well? Because if you don't get a really good Sand Tomb jump, then you're at a big disadvantage being in the middle of the fight. Because, you've got no escape mechanism after that, except maybe eject.
And, like, with that being said as well, like, they're supposed to play in really tight areas. I'm looking at maybe the central area of play for them to actually get these setups done so that they can lock their targets in place with gravity and also with the slow roll just suppressing one target down. But I don't really see that to be the style of execution that was being brought forward by Escape 5. So essentially, the game plan did not come into fruition. So the question is, if they were to run it back, they really have to alter the ban itself in order to make this work. And I feel like Secret Rare, they have prepared for this outcome so well, and they just understood. And I just love to see this team being so much more disciplined and just reap the rewards out of the first game.
Well, let's see if those rewards are going to pay off, because with a game advantage, I know Secret Rare are going to be feeling pretty good going into the second game. But now it's time for Escape 5 to really step it up if they want to bring it to a game 3. If they've got anything hidden in their backpack, their back pocket, in the fridge, I don't care where it is, you whip it out, you got to whip it out now. And if you have to, sometimes you got to come out with those surprise picks. We've seen some already in the previous weeks, so Escape 5, What are you going to bring out today? Is it going to be the Dodrio? Is there maybe another Pokemon you guys have been practicing?
Oh, well, this time around, they will prioritize the Mew as they take that away from Miva. So it is still very possible. We see a little bit of hover of almost every single Pokemon coming out of the
Dragonite?
Are they going to lock it in
This
for
guy's
first
messing
pick,
with
though?
us. No. Delphox. Delphox was banned last game, so yes. I think Secret Rare, just take it. If it's there, just take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Delphox and Mew, they're on the same wavelength. They do the same things. They're both very long-range attackers, especially Delphox, the anti-healing on that Pokemon. It might be problematic for certain compositions, but Eldegoss and Slowbro for Escape 5, interesting choices. They're not really revealing too much of what they want to do. I'm really keen to see what these next 2 picks are going to be because Mukrob, he's one of them, and also Winnie's. I think if these 2 players can get really good Pokemon that are going to be able to also deal with what Secret Rare have, maybe this could be the game where they come back and pull it to a 1-1. What is it going to be, folks?
We're just waiting to see what comes up next. There's ample of options on the table,
Blast.
and they opt for a Blastoise and Decidueye combination. So you will expect them to be having quite a huge team fight again, and this time with a little bit more of that late game insurance.
This?
I actually do like what I'm seeing somewhat.
What is this? Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of ample firepower from the back line. So
What is this? Oh my goodness. I thought it was going to be Talonflame. Is it really Trevenant for Secret Rare? It is going to be Trevenant. So
wow.
really great frontline on Secret Rare. Snorlax, Trevenant, and Aegislash. Shua, heavily protected. I think it's going to be really tough for them to actually get on top of the Delphox. But Escape 5, I kind of feel like these guys, they must have been watching East Asia because Blastoise, this is not a Pokemon you really see in Southeast Asia. And the Decidueye, like this one was a really interesting choice. If you can keep the Decidueye protected and if you can get some really nice Spirit Shackles, I kind of feel like this Pokemon might work.
I think this form of setup because they are hoping to come in those 5 versus 5s. Like, I guess like there's no better time than now to whip out the Decidueye, especially when you don't get your hands on the Delphox, so you can basically match up to tempo. And then you still have Miva on the Aegislash that could still prove to be a threat to the rest of Escape 5.
Yeah, I think so. And actually something to also sort of look at between these 2 drafts is that when it comes to lockdown, or at least like heavy CC, Escape 5 don't have much of it. I'm assuming this is going to have to be a Surf Slowbro because outside of that, like Eldegoss doesn't really stun, Mew doesn't really stun. Spirit, no one really stuns except for Slowbro. So I feel like it's going to be Surf Bro, but I also wonder like what's Mukrob going to be doing with the Blastoise? Is it going to be the Spout Rapid Spin build? Is it going to be Surf, Hydro Pump? Or is he just going to try and dive the backlines and be like, I'm just going to go spin build, going to just dive onto the Delphox, but even then, I just can't see them really getting on top of that Pokemon.
Exactly, and speaking of getting on top of situations where Dan is just raiding the wild Pokemon and it just got away with it, typical Snorlax things, play it very aggressively, and typically, like you said, like for the moment, this Squirtle eventually, once it does evolve, you expect this Blastoise to eventually have a rapid spin with it, which was mostly played by all the other competitive players. So for the time being, both sides do need a lot of experience to ramp up to their game plan. So we won't expect them to be overcommitting in these early scuffles, but the challenge is already on. Both sides hoping to get some EXP out of the tower, and Hard is already overextending and might actually see a little bit of punishment. Little HP left, and Mukrob forces the eject button, but won't be able to find the knockout.
Yeah, and he's borderline level 5. I really want to see what the move of choice is going to be for him on that Blastoise. We'll find out in just a second, but in the meantime, looking at the 2 teams, who do you kind of feel is going to have that mid-game advantage, Contra? Just looking at the Pokemon available.
When it comes down to mid-game, I do believe that Secret Rare might have actually have better advantage so long as they can keep this War Turtle in check. And speaking of which,
Is this Hydro Pump? Is this Water Spout? Which one is it?
Oh,
He's like, I'm not scaling this move yet.
yeah, I'm not going to show you just yet. We're about to actually get ourselves a
Water
little bit
spout.
of altercation. And look at the birds coming from the mill. They find Dan, and it will be the first knockout for Escape 5.
All right, so very likely going to be the spin War Turtle build. So Mukrob is going to be in the front lines. He's going to deal this AoE damage. I'm just scared, though, because you're up against a team that has a lot of self-sustain. Trevenant can basically heal himself. They've got a Clefable that you have to out-DPS as well. So I'm wondering, is Mukrob gonna be enough alongside that Mew? He has to also keep in mind, like, his positioning is gonna impact whether or not Decidueye and Mew are gonna feel protected as well. Because, you know, Aegis Slash, his job, dive into the backlines, catch the squishies with the Sacred Sword, and just be like, sayonara, see you back on base.
That's right, and as for Escape 5, you really have a huge duty for Blacklight in this matchup where Eldegoss really has to be in the right place in the right time for most part.
Ooh.
Oh, we see almost a knockout going through, and Hart still manages to get some scoring done over the top end of the go zone while Reggie still is being challenged. The rest of the team of Secret Rare coming in to perform a little bit more pressure, and Escape 5 comes in with a huge serve as Wu gets out of the way, but at what cost though? And we are still seeing nobody dropping out of the fight. Winnie goes in for an exchange, will inject out of the way, survives the battle. Escape 5 calls this a victory.
Oh my goodness, Secret Rare, they did try to zero in on the Decidueye, but they just didn't have enough lockdown to catch him, and he was able to get the eject out. Now there's going to be a lot of aggression here from Escape 5. They're even using the knock-knock to try and get Secret Rare off that goal zone. They are going to keep fighting though, and I mean, I'm very concerned here, right? You're going to run out of firepower at some point because your Eldegoss, that Pokemon is gone.
Yeah, and just look at this overwhelming burst of damage that Escape 5 does have. Sure, it did take a while because they were focusing on they're all off of position, and this is where it's time for the War Turtle to catch them all off guard. Mukrob just zoning them away, but they don't really have enough, where Secret Rare is just finding picks after picks. Mukrob slowly going down. Heavy Slam on top of this Blastoise. It's 3 KO streak in favor of Miva, and looking for 4 and maybe even more.
They do have the Slowbro back into the fight, but I don't think he can really do much for the team here so far. Secret Rare looking rather healthy. Big Solar Beam. Ooh, almost seeing the arrow just shoot down the Snorlax. Luckily was just out of range, and we have the Delphox coming back into this fight. Up top, it looks like Blastoise. He's going to try and take the Regieleki and at least farm back his Unite, because he has used it already in that previous fight. So going straight onto Regieleki, but look at this. Look at who has 40 points and is looking to dunk. It's an Aegis Slash. Can Blastoise get the cancel? The basic attack will be enough, and no 40-point dunker there for Miva.
Really close call though. Like, if it was a split second late before he actually commits to that Regieleki, it could have been that 40 point to be able to stabilize things for Secret Rare. But there's still ample opportunities where we did see Secret Rare actually putting up such a good battle over on that central zone, getting huge catches on
Reggie's
top of Mukrob. And
which Reggie is it? Regirock.
Regirock. Definitely
So-
ready for a little bit more of that contest.
Yeah, the defense bonus will be very handy as well, especially with Escape 5 being a little bit of a squishier
boy.
lineup. Miva, oh my god, even using a Unite. Mukrob is like, get out of my jungle, bro. Give me that buff. He gets it. It's going to be a 4v4 in that bottom lane. So far, Lax not looking too healthy. He will just be able to escape, but he won't be able to do anything without any kind of healing, trying to get within Moonlight range. And luckily for him, he will start getting healed back up. The tree getting really far forward, but now super low as well. Power nap there from the Snorlax is going to be there, maybe applying another disable. Doesn't need to roll over. He's going to be all right. We'll keep going with the stuns, but knock, that's going to cut down the Snorlax. That's a frontliner down on the side of Secret Rare.
They do open up some opportunities to secure themselves a Regirock, and they will get their hands on it. Secret Rare got what they needed, and they recommitted to the fight. Immediately bursted down the Slowbro, and Miva is running rampage, still hunting them out, having a lot of room to breathe, whereas Eldegoss just tries to keep everybody sustaining. And there is going to be Blastoise to try to score a forward corner, but the ban is there to stop him.
So he's actually going to abandon that top lane because he wants to go bottom and assist. He's got 40 points. If he can score, this would be fantastic. So Eldegoss is going to scout out the Trevenant in that bottom lane, who's trying to defend that goal zone single-handedly with the Aegis Slash. Big Solar Beam, though. Ooh, that was massive, cutting their health down to half. Follow me. Not going to connect onto anybody. Moonlight's there to try and get those tanks' health back up on the side of Secret Rare. Big Unite from the Blastoise. Catches out two. Aegis Slash almost going down. He's going to do his best, his final hurrah. But looks like the fireworks do finally get dropped. That is going to zone out Mukrob. And I think this Blastoise, he's going to go down. His team has fully abandoned him.
My goodness. A little bit of chaos happening over on this bottom.
They can't
zone.
break through contract.
They really couldn't, and when we look at the way that Escape 5 positioned as well, like, they could have actually layered it a little bit better, especially with the rival move crop. While over our top side, Dan has held onto this likely for the longest of time.
I think it's been over a minute.
Feels.
Just making sure it doesn't get on, because if it does go through, then Escape 5, they will surely try and go for those 3 points. Oh my goodness, this game is pretty tight, and even though Secret Rare are doing a pretty good job at holding on, they're struggling to score themselves. And look, I do fear for this Delphox has actually used its dash to try and get to the bottom goal zone, but 3 Pokemon are going to hunt this Delphox down. 20 seconds to go. Blastoise a bit too unhealthy and will spin out of there just in case anyone did try to stun him up. So
Quick reset coming
10 seconds Contra, and then we've got Rayquaza on the field. This is where we could see the tables turn.
Exactly, where both ends are really prepping their positions for the time being. We do have the Trevelyan holding onto a bottom layer. They've already spotted out Winnie, so they will have an idea how exactly to go in for this execution. Secret Rare, they're being held back, and they are the ones with the deficit. They will either need to find room to at least score some double pointers there. Miva already on the roll, spots out the Blastoise, and will send Mukrup back for a quick reset. But is this going to be the window? There's not too much time, and they really got to do something about this.
Yeah, Shua's actually slowly trying to burn down this Rayquaza, because right now you can see Escape 5, they don't want to engage, but they are taunting with it. Oh, big two-man snowball there from the Delphox. 5x drops as well. They need to get out of there.
Here
and
comes
so
Mukrup.
far, yep, there's going to be a knock. Big Tone actually thrown down by that Blastoise. Lots of low health Pokemon on the side of Secret Rare, but I think they just have enough gas in the tank to keep on battling Mystical Mirage from that Mew to try and keep his teammates alive. As long as Eldegoss can survive, it's okay, but they've lost the healer now. Basically, the sustain on Escape 5 is gone. You've only got the Slowbro, who's going to be able to heal himself back up. Mew, though, trying to put himself in that middle area. Maybe can try and get a sniper with the Solar Beam, because, you know, that's what Mew does. You've got to get those snipes in. But no one's here.
Nobody is here, and they decided to just give way and just force a full defense. And Secret Rare still finds a way to squeeze that 100-pointer through the bottom lane.
They need to
making it work.
They gotta break those. They gotta break the shields. They do get one break on the Trevenant, so Trevenant won't be able to score the 100 anymore. Now 357-point lead here from Secret Rare. Escape 5. They gotta figure out how to get points in, because if you're just gonna sit there, they're out. This is the game they have to win, and they only have 20 seconds.
I was expecting them to come up with a defensive response at the very least, and they just left both sides bare boned. And
so
now
confused.
there's no time. 15 seconds on the clock. Secret Rare, who have not won a series in the league, will finally get their first series win here in the playoffs to knock out Escape 5 and advance to meet up against Team Rise.
Wow, I don't know if this is a case of Secret Rare just taking advantage of the latest patch, or the fact that they've just played more, I guess, like games more recently than Escape 5, because Escape 5, they haven't played a competitive game for 2 weeks, right? They didn't play last week because they concluded their games the week before. So they kind of came into the tournament cold. And unfortunately, they just couldn't break through Secret Rare. This very tanky, frontliney, in-your-face comp on Secret Rare, which is the epitome of what people are sort of talking about right now, the healing tanky meta. Is this the way to win? To just pick these Pokemon that can survive and be sustained by these support Pokemon? Fable's healing is outrageous. I want to see how much Junior Absent healed this game.
Yeah, and on top of that, I felt like, at least in terms of ideation, Escape 5 has got almost similar setups with the Eldegoss, and you relied so much on the Slowbro 2 going for the catch. But I felt like there was no focus firing. They couldn't really find a catch onto Miva, which was just doing so much. And then you'd still have to worry about Shua, which is the biggest problem in this course of the matchup. And they just get free attacks, great fanciful fireworks, and I think like Secret Rare just knew this formulation, and they finally show one page of their secret.
I don't know if this is one page of their secret, but you can see there's definitely some East Asia influence in these drafts. I guess another thing we kind of have to talk about was for Escape 5, right? So we got Winnie on the Decidueye. Was there really enough control to protect the Decidueye? Because we saw him pull out some pretty big damage numbers, but he really struggled to comfortably position himself in the battles, right? Because he was always worried, like, is Miva going to get on top of me? Is there going to be a Snorlax that's going to suddenly sit on top of me? Do I have to worry about Heart 1 running on top of me as well? Like, there were so many things he had to be worried about. And you have a Blastoise on your team. Yes, you have the Typhoon, but that move is on a really long cooldown. Once it's been used, you kind of don't have that emergency button to press anymore in case things got really bad. So it makes you wonder, like, should I maybe have changed the Blastoise for something else that was going to be able to assist the Decidueye a little bit more?
Yeah, and I felt like the execution for Escape 5 was a little bit all over the place because you really need to rely on Mukop to going for the setup, and there are times where it came in late and only caught maybe a few members, and by then enough damage has been done to the main carries of Escape 5 that they really have to back away. Therefore, it was a little bit of a desync as well. But in spite of that, I feel like most often than not, Escape 5 did put up some really good mid-game battles though.
Yeah, and it also kind of feels weird to see Mukrob on something like a Blastoise, right? Because Blastoise, he's more of that sustained damage. He's not so much like that bursty damage such as a Delphox, a Dodrio, the Pokemon that we're really used to seeing him on, those heavy bursters. So having him on the Blastoise, it just, I guess like the team build maybe would have been a bit of a mismatch as well. I think maybe that's a better way of putting it. Because the spin build on Blastoise, I feel like you can really only pull that off if you have a team that can look after themselves. Because we saw big Typhoons, but his team was never in position to really capitalize on those Typhoons.
Yeah, exactly that. Like I've seen that for multiple times of the team fight where they're really not in the right position or doesn't really have the range to get that priority onto the Delphox, the Aegislash, and even frontliners sometimes. Like, if only they were maybe a little bit more synced in terms of position, then perhaps it could have actually turned the tides of the battle entirely, because Mukop actually did so much work in that match.
Yeah.
It's just really sad that, you know, the execution was a little bit off.
Well, we also don't know if maybe they're not really used to the new patch. Maybe the team, some of their best Pokemon got nerfed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Because every patch, these small changes, it might seem small to us viewers and some of us casual players, but when it comes to high-level Pokemon Unite, sometimes your best Pokemon gets nerfed. That immediately makes you weaker. You have to move on to something else. And for a lot of players, it's not a case of you just getting good at a Pokemon overnight. Sometimes it takes days, weeks, months to really sync with that choice and be able to know what your limits are. So for Escape 5, maybe it was a patch issue, maybe it was a drafting issue. We're not 100% sure, but what we are sure of is that we do have an interview with one of the players from Secret Rare. I do believe it's Junior Absent. So firstly, welcome to the stream, Junior Absent. First, I have a question for you before Conjo says anything. So we've been trying to figure out what's the right pronunciation for your name. Is it Junior Absent, or is there another way of saying it?
Initially, it's supposed to be JR Absent.
Okay.
Because, you know, usually I use JR_absent, but people just say Junior Absent, which I'm fine also.
All right.
Some other people also call it Giraffe in Europe. So
oh, wow.
I'm fine with any.
So which one do you prefer, just out of courtesy for you?
For me, I think JR Absent, or just JR is fine as a nickname.
JR? Okay, that sounds great.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll stick to that. And of course,
it's simple,
huge congratulations to you and your team. You guys have done it, finally winning this best of 3 in such an important series. How is the rest of the team, you know, feeling, and how do you guys reacted by the end of this best of 3? I was really curious.
I mean, of course, we're happy. We finally got the win, especially after a rough start. So, like, of course, we just tried our best every game, and, you know, it paid off right now in this best of 3. So we're just ecstatic and hope for the best in the next matches.
Actually, I kind of want to ask you. So we all know that unfortunately you guys weren't able to secure any wins during the first phase of the tournament. What did you guys kind of do to reset the mindset? Because I think for a lot of people, when you just see all those losses, you would get demotivated. It might impact the way that you play. How did you guys recover mentally before coming into the second phase of the tournament?
Yeah. So for that, we just had to sit down in Discord and just talk to one another. Just, of course, just lay it all out and be honest of what's our mistakes, what did we do wrong, and like how can we improve, and our mental. Trying to like say, oh, just chill out. We know that we have the ability to do it. We're a team that can win. So always execute and just keep practicing what we do best, and you know, eventually, of course, hard work would pay off. So, as you see now.
It surely did. Contra, do you have any questions?
Well, not much in particular, and I'm just looking at the change of pace and how you guys have been able to adapt to the recent patches as well. Like, what are your stance on, like the latest update, and do you see this being very beneficial to all the plans that you guys have set throughout the preparation into this conflict round?
So for the recent updates with Comfy and all that, I think it's a good thing, of course, that there's updates keeping the game going and then trying to adjust each Pokemon. Of course, we just keep on trying to test out every update, the new Pokemon, so that if ever it comes to a situation where we have to use that third Pokemon because we think it's a counter pick, then we will, because at least we already tried it, and our mindset is just, going to every update is just test things out and, of course, enjoy.
All right, thank you so much, JR, for this interview. We're going to be watching your next game up against Rise. Best of luck. Hopefully we're going to be talking to you again for the winner's interview, but we do look forward to your match. Thank you so much for the interview, Junior.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
He's such a nice fellow.
Yeah, and it's great that we finally get to speak to them as well. Like, it's just so pleasant to see that after all these challenges that they were put through throughout the league, they finally get this massive win against the top team of Thailand. And of course, unfortunately, we will have to say goodbye to Escape 5. But Secret Rare, they're thriving, and I just love the way that they played out those two games so convincingly. And I have high hopes for them when they do meet up against Team Rise next week.
You mean today?
Oh, right.
Like right now?
Actually,
look at
today.
this man. He's
I always
next
think
week.
that it was next week because, like, whoa, it's actually coming up next.
It's right now.
Sorry,
oh, gosh.
I gotta excuse myself.
I think you need to go have a bit of a break there, Contra, but we will have a break after this. But don't go anywhere, folks, because our next matchup, we're going to be seeing more of Secret Rare, this time up against the Indonesian champions, Rise. Can their positive influence, their positive energy bring them through this next series? Because we know that Rise is a formidable team. They are incredibly strong. They are the champions of Indonesia. Can the Filipinos topple this next opponent? Because in East Asia, we saw the rise of the 5th seed, and we are starting to see it again here, but this time in Southeast Asia.
That's right, and up against Team Rise, we do know how much Eeyore prepares with the rest of the team, so I wonder what will be concocted into the drafts later on, especially now that they do see some of all these recipes of what Secret Rare has been putting up on the table. So
hang on.
It really would be pretty exciting to see this series, how it will go down.
You know what? Just going off how JR spoke in that interview, I kind of feel like they have something cooking in the oven. I do think they have some Pokemon hidden. And maybe we'll find out in this next round. But before that, though, we are going to have a quick break. So as usual, if you need to do anything, do it now. Make sure you're back in 5 minutes because this next matchup, it's going to be spicy. We'll see you after this, trainers.
Welcome back once again, trainers, and this is the Pokemon UNITE Asia Champions League Southeast Asia. My name is Contra. This is Dan Lee. Yeah, we're all in the frame right now. So
Yes.
first, with so much going on initially, we look into the league and we see all these teams really rising to the top. And then once we already have the power level, sometimes it doesn't even matter. We saw in East Asia, Secret Chip actually
The
moved
other
all the
secret.
way into the third position and will be gunning for the their champion title eventually. Hopefully that happens. But
Maybe.
now in Southeast Asia, we even see Secret Rare defeating members of the side of Escape 5, and now we'll be playing against Team Rise to see who makes it into the top 3.
Yeah, and at the same time, the winner of this next best of 3, not only is this our final series for today, but they're also guaranteeing at least a $1,000 finish for the first phase of the competition. So even if they don't get the qualification spot to the LAN final, they will at least take home a prize. So I'm really excited for this next set because we've seen a Cinderella story happen on East Asia. If you did not catch yesterday's games, Contra and I, we both promise you will enjoy them. Go back, watch the VODs. East Asia.
promise.
East Asia was whack. I'm just going to say that. The games were whack yesterday. It was so out of the ordinary, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I believe that this upcoming matchup will be just as great as it can possibly get. So without further ado, let's introduce the teams on board. If you are just tuning in right now, first, welcome on board. Secret Rare have just celebrated their successful best of 3
Their
win.
first win.
Yes, their first ever win in the 2-0
Oh my
fashion
goodness.
so convincingly, and it was a lot of great effort being displayed by Schwan, Eva, Dan, Part 1, as well as they are absent. Meanwhile, on Team Rise, the champions of Indonesia will field today Zoe, Eeyore, AXQ, Necro, as well as Illumina.
Yep, so we have seen Rise play on the latest patch. This team is bonkers, and I think the guy that makes this team bonkers is Eeyore, and I do believe we're going to take a look at his player profile right now. And he's been into MOBAs since 2005. I could absolutely believe this because this man really knows how to play Pokemon Unite. His positioning is always on point. He is amazing when you go to those team fights. He knows how to play to the absolute limit on not just Dodrio. We haven't seen Dragonite, I believe, but he also plays a really nasty Delphox.
That's right, and that's about, what, 18 years worth of experience playing in this specific genre. And for Pokemon Unite, of course, it's something a little bit more different, but we see him adapt so well because of the multitude of experiences that he does have to offer on table, and Team Rise can absolutely rely on him to be able to dunk in hefty amount of points.
Absolutely. And of course, coming into our underdogs Secret Rare, we're going to have a quick look at Shua, who is essentially the counterpart. Now, of course, his favorite Pokemon to play is Greninja and Cinderace, and he loves energy drinks and proteins. I could picture this guy right before the games is just shoveling protein bars and protein drinks in just to make sure that he's on point for this next game, because winning this, $1,000 guaranteed and a chance to go to the LAN finals.
Yep, imagine that, where there is that opportunity for either side of the party to eventually meet up against Renaissance for the next
Not
week itself.
tomorrow, and
Not tomorrow. I got this right this time around.
my
Thank you very much. Where that is that golden ticket on the line if they do win this matchup. So with that being said, I really do want to see both put on the best showing. Whereas, you know, like for Team Rise, we've already spoken to the team before. Igor says that there is a lot more Pokemon that he has not displayed in any of these particular matches back in the league, and perhaps they do have something on board for today.
Well, I wonder at all if they want to bring it out in this first game, because there's a lot on the line here, right? It's a elimination match. You lose. If you lose this series, you are out. You've got no second chances. It's single elimination. So I want to know what the plan is. Do they just play vanilla maybe for the first round? Are we just going to see some crazy stuff? Because I think for Secret Rare, you don't have that element of surprise anymore, unless, as we said before, unless they have something that they haven't shown yet. Then you kind of want to show it now. Otherwise, you might just have to play safe. But before we jump into the game though, right, this is Rise's breakdown over the course of the first phase of the competition. So they weren't able to take games off of MYS and Renaissance, but they did win against both Escape 5 and Secret Rare. So this team has a proven track record, and I think this is going to be a really big challenge for Secret Rare.
That's right, and even up against Team MYS, the eventual #1 placing team, that they managed to also at least bring 1 point back. And despite that, it was a tough challenge with them going up against Renaissance, but they really did put up a little bit of their own showing to even the odds, if ever the case. Therefore, has Team Rise prepared enough in this brand new meta where Hoopa is back up online, and then you know that Eeyore loves to play on that Dodrio so much. Now, he will really have to adapt to this particular patch where these changes could have actually affect the champions of Indonesia.
It might, really, but I think it's hard to say at this point until we start seeing what Pokemon are going to be picked. But let's take a look at some of the match histories for the tournament thus far. For anyone that is just tuning into the broadcast, we're going into our second and final best of 3 of the day. Our underdogs, Secret Rare, they did win the first best of 3 today. If they can win this next one, they will be playing again next week. But Rise, this is going to be a really tough opponent. And thus far, Secret Rare, they weren't able to take any games during the first phase of the competition, but they managed to take their first win today. And it was a 2-0. It was a convincing 2-0 as well.
Yeah, and I do expect that this momentum will just be carried forward, because that just concluded within less than 20 minutes ago. So they have already got so much prep that was being done on that first draft where they were facing off against the CM5.
You know what
and
I
they
think
could
as
just
well?
run it back if they want.
I think it's also just the power of PMA.
Yeah.
Positive mental attitude. Because we saw it from JR, right? Like, he even said, like, the team, yes, it was a really tough journey during the first half of the tournament, but they said it doesn't matter. They grouped together, they talked it through, they tried to keep it positive, and also just keep practicing, keep training, try new things, and it's worked so far. But now you have to wonder, is it going to work against Rise?
Yeah, and it really shows, right, when they have the confidence to bring in niche picks like Trevenant, and I wonder if they're going to do the exact same this time around.
Maybe.
We've seen so many sustainable Pokemon to be the core picks to lead into any form of fray that they're going to be engaged into. And now, with the beginning of our very first draft, let's see what could Secret Rare actually reap in terms of reward with Junior Absent to be able to secure the first Pokemon for the team.
I want to know who is going to get banned, because clearly these teams, they're going to have priorities. We know for Rise, I think, I'm not sure if you agree, Contra, but Eeyore is the backbone of Rise. We have seen this man single-handedly carry his team, but it came with his team being able to protect him. We saw him last week do 200,000 damage
200,000
on Delphox.
I still remember that round.
That is
very well.
unheard of that's practically unheard of in pub games. So if he's able to pull off another 200,000 damage game, there's no Delphox, so I think the chances of that happening is going to be very low. But he picks up the Glaceon, and I think this Pokemon is equally deadly because it has a very early power spike, it does a lot of damage, and we can trust that Eeyore, his positioning game is always on point. So Secret Rare, their solutions, it's going to be the Snorlax for the front line. We have JR playing the Blissey, or maybe they could be changing, who knows, and Miva picking up the Urshifu.
Yeah, and then this is also going to carry on a huge impact where they can actually pressure on the front lines for Secret Rare. I believe that Schwa might be the one that's going to be on the Urshifu eventually. And are we actually seeing this?
Is he pulling at the Greninja? Oh, yo, I am
Greninja
ready for this.
and
Buzzwole.
Buzzwole as well.
Yep.
This is relatively interesting,
Oh,
and it
it's
is locked
happening.
in. Team Rise, however, they say, you think you're the only one with surprise? We're bringing back the ones with the biggest win rate, Wigglytuff, to be the second line of defense, to be accompanying the Clefable as well. So you do see Team Rise, they're going to try to look for those pickoffs from a distance, but can they have enough damage to peel through a tanky Snorlax? And now, coupled with Blissey and also a Buzzwole, I'm not even certain if they could actually get that open pick. And if this is going to be a Water Urshifu, this is going to be a hyper-sustained comp.
It might be, because he's running weakness policy. This is kind of viable on both Dark and Water, but I kind of think this might be water Urshifu because you want to dive into the backlines, catch out Eeyore on the Glaceon. You also want to try and pressure Axeq as well, right? Because effectively, these are your two core Pokemon when it comes to damage on the side of Rise. Necro is going to be the gatekeeper, essentially, right? He has to make sure that Axeq and Eeyore are given openings to get their attacks in freely, but also make sure that he's there to frontline in case both of the attackers get dove. So there's a lot that has to go right for both of these teams. I think ease of execution, I want to say it's kind of equal on both fronts. Rise having to make sure their squishy attackers are safe, and then Secret Rare, theirs is making sure that they can get those openings and dive past the front line.
Yeah.
I want to know the Wigglytuff, like, is it going to be rollout or C?
Yeah, I'm hoping to actually see rollout so that they could actually give a little bit more of that high-pressing engagement in an attack where they could just recommit, get some crowd control going on as well.
I kind of feel like it might be Sing because you want the debuff as well, right? Because it makes both of your attackers just hit ultimately harder.
Yeah, and that could actually work very well when we talk about Secret Rare being so tanky but hard. It really is in a dangerous situation. You got to pull back, and they will get the knockout very early on against this Buzzwole.
Secret Rare a little bit too aggressive in that top lane, thinking that they were going to be able to win this 2-2, but now it's a 3-on-2 with the Glaceon there. You kind of don't want to dive into Eeyore at all. So they will take all of the wild Pokemon for free, and this is going to slow down the progress for Secret Rare's top lane because, you know, you've got your Greninja who actually tried to rotate up top, but nothing really happened.
Yeah, like for the time being, Secret Rare really has to stall things out as well.
And as a Frogadier as well, there's really not much you can do for support.
Yeah, and most often than not, you will eventually need to get those levels in place, and of course you will expect this Greninja to have some high impact to find the dive onto the God of War in the
Look at
backline.
this backstab. I think we might be seeing a battle in the central area. So Eeyore going to be showing his face along with that Clefable. And you can tell Secret Rare, they see that duo, they instantly just decide, yeah, we kind of don't want to fight into this. Just stay away from Eeyore, make sure we get our levels, make sure Frogadier hits that Greninja. That's the most important thing here for Secret Rare, because they really need him to be fully evolved so that he can come online.
Yeah, I just love the discipline from both ends, really guarding their own resources very well, even coming in with certain invades, Team Rise. You know, that actually fancy those chances. Oh, hard. Just pulls Necro all the way back. Won't have enough damage to at least go for a knockout, but some points have been scored. So, so long as it just continues to do this, yep, you can just stack as much as you want.
Yeah, he's just getting some free stacks, and unfortunately there's not really much Doublade can do, especially when you've got a Greninja in the lane now. So Necro is going to have to play a little bit more passively, but this does mean that Rise are going to have to be prepared for the stacked Buzzwole. Meanwhile, they're going to focus in that bottom lane, make sure they can get this broken, and so far they are applying a lot of pressure down here, but maybe they've gone a little bit too deep. Two Pokemon super low. Big stun there from the Snorlax, but there's just not enough follow-up. They didn't have the catch.
Yeah, where JR Absent is also being depleted of the HP bars, they will have to go in for resets. Dan gets a little bit of a power nap, and then they will carry on. Harto will eventually be punished, but Necro will have enough stability to also keep himself pretty much healthy and will start to rotate into the bottom lane and perhaps cause this havoc upon the rest of Secret Rare. But now, Buzzwole does have a free time to roam. They will eventually join in the pack. Brady still now only take it down for 1/4 HP with a big heavy slam from the side of Dan. And the Urshifu is being caught out. First KO going in favor of the side of Team Rise. Dan comes with a triple heavy slam once again. Team Rise just battling for position, and they do get a catch onto the Aegis Slash.
It's a 1-for-1 so far, so no Aegis Slash. The backlines are now going to be exposed, but it's not an easy battle at all for Secret Rare. And yep, Eeyore got it, and it looks like they're going to have to sacrifice Heart here. I mean, there's really nothing that they could do. Unfortunate for Secret Rare. You know, it was a great fight for Rise. They do have a better team when it comes to power spikes, and again, execution for Secret Rare. I think just losing Miva there really hurt their engagement potential.
Yeah, and Team Rise, so long as they do have 5 members strong in terms of all these battles, they should be able to have what you just said, ease of execution, throw all the unites together, and they really have to be on their guard. Secret Rare don't want to be caught in that very singularity at all, because that could easily just burst them down. And then, if Necro is going to be up available, you will expect this Aegis Slash to go for a chase. Great attempt coming in for him to just have full control of the top lane, getting all the resources available.
Axeq actually got a solo knockout there onto the Greninja. Should go down here. Actually, no, Axeq using the Unite. I don't know if it's going to survive. So far, he's doing a good job kiting and actually wasting a lot of Miva's time, and he gets out successfully.
Wow.
Oh, that really hurts. And in the meantime, you can see Secret Rare, they are struggling to protect this top goal zone, and Aleki goes in for free. This is going to be an easy 30-point overcap for Rise. AXQ should have gone down there. Big misplays from Secret Rare to not get this.
Yeah, overall, of course, this Urshifu is also concerned whether or not that damage would be enough to actually be him being bursted down, so he definitely respected a little bit of that zone. And big play potential coming from AXQ, just understanding that, okay, I believe I can kite this even though I don't have that much mobility. So that in itself just shows how good it is on this Gardevoir.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I'm just really impressed by how AXQ managed that battle in the bottom lane. Now, Wiggly has exposed itself. JR going to be sitting in the bushes just to give his team a little bit of that extra vision. And Reggie Rock has spawned in the bottom lane, so a defense buff and EXP boost is on the line for these two teams. So far, we're not really seeing too much health being changed, but Secret Rare, they are trying to gun for this, and now they have the Dark Urshifu, but look at the block from the Clefable. Oh my gosh, that was dirty.
And Team Rise, they're also pressing on. It's only Dan in the middle of the frame, whereas there was just no members of Secret Rare to be able to offer as much damage, so the retaliation comes through, and they will get the knock onto the Buzzwole and will continue to press Dan away from the fight. Miva has to run the other way around. Secret Rare absolutely overwhelming. Finally, the zone is opened up, but Shua putting on a heavy defense, but the points will still go through Team Rise with the heavy Duncan.
He is just too exposed and too weak to be able to do anything else. So, oh my goodness, Rise. Look, RNG was in favor of Clefable that game. He got the move he needed with the Unite, was able to just get the block off, push Secret Rare off the objective, and that was basically an end of story. Rise gets what they want. So maybe, just maybe, it's going to be Zoe to clutch this game for the team, because that Unite, I mean, it stole a big objective away from Secret Rare. I think there was a good chance they could have gotten it. Unfortunately for Miva, actually using the Unite move to try and get away from a Luna. So that Unite, you know, that's really unfortunate. That means he's not going to have it for the next battle.
Yeah, and speaking of the next battle, at least they do have ample time to buy in it before he comes back up available. Secret Rare does crush the bottom zone, with most of the Team Rise members being very occupied onto the central as well as top area play. So Secret Rare just really have to take down the Lucky and then just look to see what could they possibly catch this time around. I think like the lacking of burst damage output coming from Secret Rare has made this a little tad difficult for them to find the execution, especially upon either the Gardevoir or even the E-Slash.
Oh, Miva under heavy pressure there from Rise. I think Rise, they tried to go for a little sneaky score if they could have, but with somebody down in the bottom lane, it's a bit hard to do that. 20 seconds to go, Contra. It really looks like it's going to have to come down to Rayquaza. So far, though, Secret Rare are currently leading with 206 points compared to the 193 of Rise. But my fear is that Rise will break through Secret Rare in this battle. We've seen multiple times that they were able to just burst all of these big tanky frontliners down on Secret Rare. And they've got great utility for this as well. They've got Singularity you have to worry about. You've got Aegis Slash who's going to be able to dive in. Glaceon, you know, we know Eeyore, this man is just constantly throwing so many icy winds from the outskirts. I don't think we've seen him caught. If they can catch somebody here, this might be big, but positioning-wise, I think Eeyore is actually well protected.
Yeah, indeed they are, and this jostle of control coming from both Secret Rare as well as Team Rise is just buying so much time. Even though with this small little disparity of points, Secret Rare will also have a window to go in towards the top goal zone if they really want to. And here comes Heavy Slam coming from Dan. He does get onto Tree, but where is the rest of the teammates? So they're wrapping around the back, couldn't really find the zone, and they are bringing down the Rayquaza to 50%. And Team Rise, they got nowhere to even get access. They really got to run in fast to get their hands on the Rayquaza.
It's half health though, so it's not completely in the clear, but we are seeing some pretty big Unite. Fairy Singularity, and that's going to be, I think that just cinched it there for Rise, and they completely clean up Secret Rare. This team fight, the AoE, it was just too much for Secret Rare to deal with this game. The double range, the nukes, they had the front lines. It's just we never saw Secret Rare find a solution to this composition.
And they were all clumped in together on that Rayquaza pit, and it was just that perfect setup. Team Rise was waiting for this very moment, and whatever that they have conjured up in their thoughts have came into reality, and just by dropping every single moves, they even got Rayquaza in the back. Like, we didn't even see the health bar. It just got depleted.
It just
vanished.
It just vanished. Yeah, it definitely did. I think the idea for Secret Rare, it was a smart one, right? We saw Dan, he was trying to block everyone out from Rise from getting to the Rayquaza. It's just Secret Rare didn't have enough damage to burn down the objective and grab it for themselves. So just lacking the damage, that I think ultimately that's what really hurt them in that late game. I think they had a chance if they could have gotten the buff, but they just didn't.
Yeah, Team Rise now celebrates their first victory here on this battle, and they still need one more to go to book their meeting against Renaissance. Seeing what they have offered on the table, Secret Rare did put on quite the showing.
They did.
And it was so close. We saw the points. They were just slightly up ahead before that Rayquaza battle and that jostle of control. I felt like, did they jump the gun too early? Was it just not enough of that damage to clear Rayquaza in time? Because that was a lot of error being bought out by Dan himself, and then there was just everybody being stuck in the pit where it just delivered XQ the massive fairy singularity.
Yeah, I definitely, if you look at the score already, from the score lines, you can actually see that Secret Rare just struggled to do any form of damage in this game, right? Because they were always worried about being zoned, kited, and of course they were being zoned and kited. I think Rise, they did a great job at making sure that nobody really got caught. They were keeping their frontliners topped up with Zoe's constant moonlight. I mean, he did 61,000 healing, and then you also had to worry about Eluna, right? Eluna had the dazzling gleam, and just that split second of a stun. It's enough setup for XQ to just do a big chunk of damage, and that's what God of War does, that Pokemon, and even Glaceon, both of these Pokemon, XQ and Eeyore, I mean, they did their jobs this game. They did big damage, they avoided those necessary knockouts, and Secret Rare, I think going into the next game, you kind of have to figure out, okay, so brute forcing, it's not necessarily going to work against Rise. What's the next plan going into this next game? Because they do have to figure out, how do we deal with Eeyore and XQ?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the way that they've drafted early on. They put a priority onto Delphox, and apparently, even when you do remove that Pokemon, there's still so many things to consider, because once you're going up against a full-blown 5 versus 5 AoE composition like this, you really need to find a Pokemon that's well-suited to dive the back line. And I felt like, in this case, that Urshifu didn't get that access at all, where even when you have solid front line, they don't really have enough to go in for an exchange to deplete Team Rise enough to knock them out.
Yeah, we will take a look at the replay for that game just now. Contra, do you feel like this was just also not really a great game for Buzzwole? Because we saw this Pokemon actually have an okay early game, minus that one initial knockout that we saw. It wasn't like he was struggling at all, but when it came to those team fights, Heart really struggled to do anything, right? Like, he was just there punting Pokemon across the field, but that was basically it. Like, that was all he could do. So do you think maybe just going into the next game, the choice of Pokemon for Heart, it's gonna have to change, right? Like, he needs to be more impactful. I mean, this Duke was very upsetting to watch.
And we even see there was an instance where Miva did get away against what I do believe was the Clefable.
Oh, look at this. This was just, oh my gosh, disgusting.
Huge.
Oh my
huge plays. And like, Team Rise so far have been looking to be very clean in terms of the way that they've executed all these battles. And despite them being held back for so much time, you take a look at the rest of the team, Secret Rare, they didn't manage to even find that window to secure this. And this huge Unite move coming from the God of War just had everybody right underneath it. So there was no options to run. I believe like this Clefable was also locking them in place. So it definitely was a really difficult scenario for Secret Rare, and they're definitely hoping to at least show up with a different type of game plan in order to be able to get 1 point back in return to keep this series alive.
So I don't think we're going to be seeing the Buzzwole again. Greninja, I'm a bit skeptical about this Pokemon.
I'm thinking like, yeah, Greninja, you could still use something like a Scyther that still has some impact as well with that early clearance of power.
I don't know. I think there are other Pokemon that can do what Greninja does better. not to say the Pokemon is terrible, but I think it just comes online a little bit too late to be relevant, right?
And you really have to have the early game to be really.
You need your
smooth.
lanes. You need your lanes to do well, right?
Yeah.
You need your lanes to be self-sufficient so that you can focus on farming those wild Pokemon. And then if you do sort of waltz on by, you chip in and your team gets a KO and you get that bonus experience as well. We never saw that during the laning stage. It was constantly Rise just getting those back-to-back KOs themselves. And Secret Rare on the back foot. So maybe going into this next game, we're going to have to see them try and figure out, okay, how do we take this tempo and momentum away from Rise? Because we can already see that Rise is a snowbally team. Like, their general play style is that they just get go from the lanes. They get those back-to-back knockouts. The team just gets rolling, bigger, bigger, bigger. They get those objectives as well, denying it from their opponents. And then they're just massive by the time Rayquaza comes in. And to play at a level deficit, that's tough.
Yeah, it really was very difficult for Secret Rare, and I hope that when the going gets tough, the tough will continue to get going. And now, Secret Rare, once again, will get that first pick priority once more. So in terms of the ban, they see that, hey, we've banned out the Delphox, we try to stop E or even XQ, who likes to go for these Pokemon.
Look, I think Delphox is still a ban.
Perhaps with the first pick, they can get Delphox for themselves, because we've seen them play it before. Secret
It's
Rare.
banned.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, it's unfortunately banned. I think this is maybe Secret Rare want to play other things. I think Shua maybe at the same time not feeling too confident playing the Delphox himself, so he's just saying, let's just get rid of it. We want to get Urshifu instead, because maybe they're more worried about Rise getting the Urshifu. Right? I think that's maybe something to also think about. Eeyore, again, going to get the Glaceon, and Heart's getting the Aegis Slash. I think this is a really good change of pace here. This is a great Pokemon to dive past the front lines, can dive for Eeyore, and maybe even jump onto Axew, who is thinking about Decidueye. I think Gardevoir is probably a better choice here, although I think Gardevoir is better. The zoning is just too good on this Pokemon.
Yeah, and we saw how much of an impact it brings in that past matchup, so they don't really have to alter it all too much. Whereas for Secret Rare, they do have better mobility to wrap things around. And Schwa never even second guess, this is my game for Decidueye, and we will try to find where this Gardevoir is and just knock his way out of that.
Knock his way to the next game. Okay, that's terrible. Although I do like this choice with Shuat, right? So very likely going to be Spirit Shackle this game. If those Spirit Shackles can land onto Eeyore or Axew in the backline, that's going to do, I think that's going to do more or less half their health and damage. So I think if Shua is able to get the perfect setup, which if you look at his team, he's got a lot of teams to buffer for him, it's going to be quite difficult for Rise to break through and actually check Shua at all. So now we're going to be seeing Rise pick up the Blastoise for themselves this time. First time for this series. I'm excited as well. I want to see what Necro can do with Blastoise.
Yeah, and you can already imagine the team fight prowess that they had. Now they involve the Blastoise, so long as you get a huge Hydro Typhoon, this Gardevoir can slowly walk up and just take the time to place a perfect singularity on top of a majority of these players of Secret Rare.
That's the thing, right? The Wombo combo between Blastoise and Gardevoir. Yeah, that's also something you have to be careful of as Secret Rare, because here's the thing. Technically 4, I suppose, if you want to include Blissey. 4 of Secret Rare's Pokemon are melee. I think Blissey you kind of don't want to play in the front lines anyway, so let's just assume it's 3, right? You've got 3 Pokemon that want to be in the front lines. That is going to be not an easy setup for the Typhoon, but it makes it easier to land it on those frontliners, right? So the Wombo combo, you set up on the 2 or 3 frontliners, then you follow up with the Singularity. I mean, you basically deleted those 3 Pokemon. I don't think you can save them at all.
Exactly. And then as for the Urshifu, you just really gotta get as far away from this Clefable so that you don't get caught inside of gravity, so that you can still find your way to pave through not only the front line, but the back line itself. So far, couple of points being scored by Team Rise, only a 2-pointer to start off with, as they are going to be able to have this really stable lane. Dan's just going to hold on to the bottom by himself, whereas pressure is on top. Team Rise looking for that pick. Let's see if there's going to be any knockouts involved. Is the rest of Secret Rare. They're giving them a little bit of that area of play as well, so both sides understand the risk and reward. Secret Rare, this could potentially be their last game, so they really want to be very calculated in what they want to execute.
Yes. Now, guys, keep in mind, if you take a look at Secret Rare, we are going to be looking at the Water Urshifu this game. So we're no longer going to be playing with the Dark variant. I'm really keen to see how this Pokemon is going to play out, because this is something, again, we have to talk about. The control is actually rather weak on the side of Rise. They've got a lot of range poke, but Water Urshifu requires hard lockdown to control. And look at this, single-handedly on top of 2 Pokemon. And what can they do?
And they just couldn't really do much. They were being held back as Miva, after doing so, goes into infiltrate the jungle. Luna tries to actually snatch the wild Pokemon away, but couldn't really do much.
Yep, and
this Urshifu is just annoying.
Most importantly, you're giving space to Schwa on the Dartrix. This is going to help him get much quicker into his final evolution, but if he gets caught by Glaceon, who's in the central area, that might be a problematic KO. We see Miva get a KO on the Slowbro, and Dartrix, he sees the empty central area, so he probably smells, there's probably a Glaceon in here, so he will stay okay. Gonna go back into lane. Top lane, though, we're seeing a little bit of a battle here between both of the frontliners, Heart and the War Turtle. Middle area, though, seeing Zoe just getting jumped on by 3 Secret Rare Pokemon, and I don't know if we're gonna get the secondary KO. It looks like they will get the Snorlax, so 1-for-1 for both teams, a support for a defender.
Miva really amping up the pace this time around on the Urshifu.
I love this
and
choice.
This whole funnel strategy, having another 2 support to just help you get things done, it will just continue to be the name of the game for this early game battles for Secret Rare. A couple of barriers being picked up, Necro stays alive, and retaliation coming out of the Glaceon to find the knockout, and Secret Rare has got to jet out of there, making a double streak for Eeyore.
Round of applause for this man. He came in at just the right moment when Secret Rare were trying to get that knockout onto Necro, but Eeyore coming in, perfect timing, double KO. And those KOs are going to help the War Turtle get to Blastoise faster because you get the knockout experience as well. Objective battle so far happening in that bottom lane. Urshifu has come in, so Miva wanting to put the pressure here onto Rise because Glaceon wasn't there. Does finally come in, doing some big damage onto Urshifu, and you can see already Miva really struggling, gets finished off. Beautiful play by the Kirilla. Axe-Q getting the knockout where it counts. 2 Pokemon down, and it's the frontliners here on Secret Rare, so the objective may very well be taken here by Rise if they can finish it off in time.
And you just see the power spike coming in for Team Rise. They knew what exactly is being offered on the table, and they found a way to also deal with Miva. They will, in return, get themselves the Registeel, but how much more points can they actually get from the bottom zone? Whereas 30 points are being scored by Secret Rare with the Aegis Slash having 3 reigns. And Eeyore! He does it again, finds the Decidueye, but now we'll have to buy time and space.
This man's juking! I love it. I mean, he might get knocked out here, but he's gonna get double KO before he gets knocked out. Oh my gosh. These knockouts on Eeyore are so costly because it's like, oh, you wanna knock me out? All right, you gotta pay the 2 Pokemon toll.
Yeah, and just look at him go with this Glaceon, and you think that, hey, this guy's one of the greatest starters we've seen. We have not seen him on too many Pokemon, and when he does, it's always a joy to witness. He's playing on Delphox, and now on this Glaceon, it's looking to be so strong in terms of knowing what you could possibly get, and the understanding of how much damage output he could actually offer on the table has got under him so much more that now this Urshifu is starting to respect this form of damage too.
Yeah, we're not seeing Miva snowball as hard as he could have this game. We saw him be extremely dominant in the early game, but now there's just so much special attack damage going his way. And because he isn't able to sustain himself in these fights and is losing health too quickly, we're starting to see him really struggle. He does not get the Citrus Berry. It actually gets taken up by Eeyore, who's trying to go for the Jukes. He will just be able to get out. And now the turnaround Typhoon gets blown. So far, no one's gone down on the side of Secret Rare. They are going to continue to battle. The spins from the Blastoise is going to be zoning out Miva, trying to get healed back up there by the Blissey, and luckily for Secret Rare, they just get out of there, but they just weren't able to get all the big knockouts, and oh no,
wow.
The poor Snorlax just gets cut down by Eeyore once again.
Yeah, there's no opportunity to even save the Snorlax, overcommitting into the top zone. Now Eeyore will start to beeline into the next Reggie that's about to spawn up. Let's see what this is to get their camp on top of it. 2 Registeels in the match, and this is definitely going to be able to give them all the amplification numbers while They all commit into dunking the top zone, but that also leaves a little bit more room. Now, with the arrival of this Blastoise, this doesn't seem all too smooth sailing, and they will send more cavalry into the zone, and there's not much that can be done, and Heart eventually will falter.
Oh my gosh, that play from Rise, Blastoise single-handedly preventing Secret Rare from getting that top objective, because Secret Rare, they basically decided, you can have the bottom objective, we're going to take this top lane, and they weren't even able to get it, so completely blocked off by Rise. This team is on another level, and this is not going to get any easier. Miva goes down central lane Pokemon as if it was a wild Pokemon.
They managed to stop them on the tracks, though. Heart tries to pull anything that they could, but the zone is already down. Once again, the Blastoise is in the way, and all 5 members of Team Rise stacking upon it. Not much that the Blastoise can, not much that Aegislash could actually offer in return. Meanwhile, Dan finds a little bit more of that wiggle room to score another 40. Secret Rare, as much as they lost some of these battles, they're still on top in terms of points.
Yeah, they are scoring points. I think that's one of the big things with this team. But my biggest fear for Secret Rare is I don't know if they can sustain around a Rayquaza fight, right? We've seen Rise, they have a lot of kite ability. They have a lot of Pokemon that can sustain. They're very difficult to knock out. And then you also have the Blastoise factor. When's that Typhoon going to come out? Where is his positioning? Are we grouped up on the Secret Rare? Can we make sure that we can either dodge it or get past it? Because that Singularity Blastoise Unite combo, it's gonna be big if it lands.
Yeah, and we finally get a taste of it early on that team fight, and it was so easy for the rest of Team Rise to go in for the according setup right after. Secret Rare just really have to dodge the entirety of the zone. Like, just having that zoning potential itself is so huge for Team Rise, where not only is the Hydro Typhoon, but mainly the damage is coming from the Singularity, where you're just hoping that X2 jump the gun early on, and this is where the intensity will start to weigh on Secret Rare.
I think it really weighs on Shua as well, because if he can get those really big, constant back-to-back shackles, you're going to chip away at Rise. And I don't know if you can out-heal it, but so far, look at the damage from Gardevoir. Oh, that's just really painful to watch. Rayquaza getting close to half health, and looks like we're going to be seeing Rise trying to go for a dive. They can't quite get on top of Secret Rare. They're doing a great job at staying away. They do have to be careful. Great Unite by Eeyore, able to just bounce out of the Rayquaza pit, and now they're going to turn onto Secret Rare. The Unite finally being popped out, but it looks like the Unite is not enough for Secret Rare to get the Rayquaza shield. It's now back onto Rise. The entire team is up. Only a Decidueye who's going to be melted down by a Blastoise. It's a sweep, Contra. I think Rise may have just taken this game, this series, and have promised themselves that 3rd place and will play again next week.
And they will once again book another slot of appointment with Renaissance, while Secret Rare, as much as they were trying to actually push and shove and find an opening to steal that Rayquaza away, Team Rise really held onto every single Unite move until they really fully commit. And this is why Team Rise is a force to be reckoned with. Necro just drawing every attention, and not much more points is needed from the rest of Team Rise. They just have to defend for the last 30 seconds to conclude this best of 3.
Man, I don't even think they have enough points. Even if everyone had 50 and dunked all their points, it's actually not enough for them to win this game. And with 20 seconds to go,
look at Clefable.
I just don't see it. And yeah, Clefable's going to put another, I think that's almost another 100 points. So I think this game, it's in the bag for Rise. They have assured their victory. And unfortunately, this is the end of the road for Secret Rare. The Filipino representatives for the Pokemon Unite community. Indonesia will go through to next week.
Congratulations once again to Team Rise for getting this back-to-back 2-0 win. And of course, Secret Rare did show us a lot of brilliance in terms of their effort from the first series that they played out, even up till now against Team Rise. But of course, Team Rise on these great strategies on top of execution have seen them thrive. This whole grand idea of playing around that Gardevoir have brought them so much in return, where everyone was expecting Eeyore to be the main carry. Yes, he did carry the team still, with the rest of them really putting the similar amount of effort as Eeyore did.
Man, I think we only saw, in both games, Eeyore only go overextend once. I really like the way that this man plays. The way he maneuvers around the battlefield, you can see that he is so good at
So graceful.
He's very graceful. Yes, he's very graceful. But he's always in a position where it's difficult for Secret Rare to even think about getting on top of him. He's always in such a safe spot. If he's in danger, his teammates will always be there to back him up. He somehow evades danger. His juking skills are next level. So up against Renaissance, we have to find out if that's going to be enough for them to topple those Titans and secure themselves a spot in the finals weekend. But so far this team is looking fantastic after this series.
Yeah, and I would still commend both sides for really putting their best on top of it, where Secret Rare, you see the effort of them trying to even wiggle into territories where they were left uncaught, which is where on the early game they see a lot more points going in their favor, whereas Team Rise knew their main objective is to play as 5. So long as they are sticking together, nothing can stop them, and that's the power of friendship.
Yeah, the power of friendship. I also think this battle here was actually a big turning point as well for Rise, because we saw Miva just go ham, right? He was going around bullying the side lanes, but once they got rid of him, especially in the early game, if you can knock out the central laner, you are slowing down this Pokemon's potential to snowball. And that's what you need when you're running this water Urshifu, who isn't being supported by a Comfy, who isn't being pocketed by a support, right? This was not a game where we saw Blissey just following Miva around. Blissey was trying to make sure the whole team was surviving. And this battle here as well, I think this is a big loss here for Secret Rare. Like, they consciously chose to give up the bottom objective just to get these points in, and just... Again, they didn't get it. The defense from Rise was there. It was a lose-lose.
And overall, if there's a second MVP award, definitely I gotta commend Necro for pulling off some really great positioning on this Blastoise, where most often than not, nobody's really targeting him because he's so tanky at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas he's so disciplined in that this Hydro Typhoon was held to the very last tick of health, where the Rayquaza was endangered of falling to the hands of Secret Rare, and he is not giving any breathing space for the rest of Secret Rare.
No, he didn't actually give them any room to breathe, because remember, Contra, this was an elimination match as well. So losing here for either side, it would put you down a notch and put you on the edge of elimination. And unfortunately for Secret Rare, they just couldn't bring it to a Game 3. Rise, they came in with everything. They played to their heart's content. They essentially just picked their best Pokemon. Whatever works in Game 1, if we can pick it up again in Game 2, just do it again. Like, it worked. It's not broken. Don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly, and I just love all these things that they have been able to put through. So it's time for us to interview with the rest of Team Rise, and we got Eon on board. It's great to speak to him once again.
All right, we've got, let's go, this cute little toy there, Eeyore. Hello, welcome back to the stream. Congratulations on your team win. You guys got a 2-0 up against Secret Rare. I want to know, what was the preparation for the team coming into today's game? Because this week was elimination matches. Losing here meant that you guys would have been eliminated.
I think we didn't really do any special or any different preparation compared to the previous weeks. It's just that we discussed internally that we know that elimination games, the stakes are higher. So it's really time to, put the gas in the pedal, and really focus. And we think that we kind of improved a bit from last week, so we are really prepared whether it's against Secret Rare or SK5.
Yeah, and we absolutely love the entire team's performance. You guys were really gelled all together, and the 5v5s, you guys look super duper clean. I know that there's a lot of effort being displayed. And once again, I want to go back to the drafts where for both of the matches, you see the Delphox being banned, where we know that you guys do play quite a number of Delphox in the first round. Did that actually affected you guys in the terms of a way where you really had to force a change, or you just felt, we didn't really need the Delphox to begin with?
It's more of the latter, actually. We are quite comfortable with our strategy and our hero picks. And we are prepared if there are teams that would like to ban our Delphox, or even several number of different scenarios. We are all prepared.
Yeah,
or
that's
It's
anything.
great to hear.
I mean, clearly you and Axe here, you guys are able to switch Pokemon if you really need to, right? You have rather similar Pokemon pools. I think going into the tournament, I think we've all experienced the draft mode now, right? The fact that now we're not seeing duplicates of Pokemon anymore and you're allowed to ban. What are your thoughts on the pick ban system so far after playing it for 5-6 weeks now?
Yeah, I think it's a really good addition to Pokemon Unite, especially in the competitive scene, so that there are more variety of strategies and people will not be able to compete at the highest level if they only understand a small amount of Pokemons. So yeah, it's getting closer to the other more veteran MOBAs as well. So yeah, we are very happy with that addition.
That's great.
Yeah, and of course, up next, now, of course, with the entire team securing, at the very least, a top 3 finish, of course, you guys are looking for that golden ticket to hit to the grand finals. Anything you gotta say to Renaissance, because that will be the next
Ooh.
competition for you guys to overcome in order to book your ticket. So, any words?
Good luck, have fun, I guess.
All
We'll
right.
see you guys next week.
All right, thank you so much for the friendly words there, Eeyore. Hopefully, we're going to be talking to you guys again next week in the winners interview. Best of luck, do your best to prepare, and we'll hopefully be able to talk to you again next week. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Eeyore.
All right, folks, that is going to be it for this week for Southeast Asia. So next week, we're going to be seeing Rise yet again, but this time they're going to have a rematch up against Renaissance. And only one of those two Titans is going to make it to the LAN final, the ultimate prize. They're going to go alongside MYS to represent Southeast Asia. And I'm really looking forward to it because I think what Eeyore said, it's absolutely true. The team seems to just get better and better with every week. And I
Yeah.
think this week they looked really,
best.
really crisp. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I could only imagine with one more week's time for them to prepare for that golden ticket match. So they should be able to at least put the Renaissance to the test once again. So let's have a look at the bracket as we conclude. Day 6 of action. Secret Rare have been able to overwhelm Escape 5 on the first matchup and have knocked them out. And then once they met up with Team Rise, which we just concluded the match, Team Rise came very, very well prepared to take them on. And we love that showing of confidence. We just spoke to Ear about it. And this guy, he looks like he is really ready to head to Malaysia.
Oh, I mean, everyone's going to be ready at this point, right? Especially Renaissance and Rise. Everything is on the line. Both of these teams have at least guaranteed themselves a $1,000 finish, whether they win or lose. If you win, then you're at least going to be guaranteed that $2,500. But you still need to wrestle with MYS if you want to upgrade that to a $5,000 finish for the second phase of the competition. So it's going to be a really, really hot one next week. I think the teams are going to be tough at work, just trying to go through and analyze their previous games, rewatch the replays, try and figure out how these teams play best, and maybe even put together a couple of Pokemon pocket picks that you really have to pull out for next week, because now it's do or die.
Yeah, and of course, nobody really wants to put so much time into the league and all just to falter with so much effort being displayed. But at the end of the day, it's the nature of the competition, and we want to see which is the best team to represent Southeast Asia entirely. So it's really hard to tell. I'm just looking at this really informed Team Rise, and I'm really rooting for them right now.
Yeah, well, you know what else I'm rooting for? Everyone that's watching the stream, because we still have our giveaway campaign that is ongoing for the entirety of the Pokemon Unite Asia Champions League. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to be going on up until the grand final weekend. So if you haven't already, do make sure you have a Twitch account and register on Stream Elements, because as soon as you register, you will start collecting points just by watching the broadcast. And if you can earn enough points just by watching the show, then you could be able to redeem one of the physical rewards that's currently on the screen and what we have on the desk. Unfortunately, we cannot show you the Pikachu keychains, the physical ones, as in like it actually looks, feels, and is like full-on Pikachu, but we have all the other stuff here. So as we can switch on over here to the zoom in cam, we've got the booster pack tins, we've got the fire type tin, the dark type tin, and the fighting type tin. Contra over there has the acrylic
Keychain.
keychains. There's a couple variants
So
here.
Eeyore had this Cinderace. I have one Cinderace right here.
But I think this is the nicest Cinderace. No, he had the score bunny.
Oh,
So
this is just a keychain. He's got a different one, of course.
Yeah.
So of course with the folder,
File
my
folders.
hands at the back, you just flex to your
Hey,
friends.
I've got,
Hey,
I've got
played
Cinderace here
Pokemon
too.
UNITE.
Yeah, so we've got the file folders. These are folders, folks. These are not empty. Yep, front, back. I mean, some people have been asking, are they posters? If you want to put them up as posters, you could.
You could
on
frame
your
it.
wall. Yeah,
It's up to you.
They're a little heavy though, so you would need something with a little bit of like stickiness to it to stick it on the wall. But I mean, I'd rather put this on my desk as like a folder because these things are great.
But for those of you guys who love TCG, I mean, this is basically what you really hope to get through the points being collected, because you got the 3 Galarian birds, Articuno, Zapdos, as well as Moltres, all foiled, so it's all flashy, and you got your Galarian Surf Fetch coin. And here, I do have on my hands the stacking tins where you can keep all your favorite decks on board, put your coins there, damage
Knickknacks.
counters,
Knickknacks.
everything that you need to play. Yeah, knickknacks as well, snacks.
No, not snacks. No,
I don't know
no.
if you want to keep that with your cart because you want it to be pristine condition, right?
Snacks.
So
Don't listen to this guy.
yeah, so it's up to you what you really want to do with it, but ensure that you keep tuning in, gather all the points available, and then, you know, you can just claim it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we do end the broadcast for today, we want to remind everybody, if you haven't already, do bookmark the official site for the Pokemon UNITE ACL League, because it has everything you need to know. The teams, the matchups, the dates of the matches, what matchups are upcoming. So if you have any questions at all, just head on over here. It's got everything you need to know about the tournament. But that's going to conclude for this week for Southeast Asia. We are going to come back next week on Saturday to find out who is going to be the second team to join MYS at the Grand Finals at Malaysia. And of course, on Friday, we've also got East Asia, right? Trying to find out who will be going alongside High Five to represent East Asia. But Contra, there's more. We've actually still got some more ACL happening this weekend, because tomorrow, India is actually ahead of Southeast Asia and East Asia. So tomorrow we're going to find out who will be the second Indian team to represent the region at the LAN finals alongside Marcos Gaming. So make sure, if you are also collecting points, tune into the broadcast tomorrow so that you can keep on earning those points, and hopefully you can get the rewards that you want from watching the stream. But my name is Danielle, his name is Contra. That's going to be it for us. We will see all of you next week.